하겠습니다. Good morning, every delegates. My name is Min Jun-shin, and I will be chairing for the next 6 hours of this conference. Please note that all delegates must keep their cameras turned on and microphone turned off, like what Hu-chan said. And please be reminded that anybody who wants to speak or to raise motion should press the raise hand button in the reaction tab below. 이제 반응 탭 가시면 raise hand 버튼이 있는데 그거를 통해서 모든 모션이나 아니면 스피치를 진행해 주시기 바랍니다. 그리고 이제 아까 호찬이가 말한 것처럼 개인적인 문제나 기술적인 문제는 의장을 거치지 않고 바로 스태프분들께, 특히 오션 스태프분께 말씀을 해주시면 되겠습니다. The conference will now begin with a roll call, so we will check the attendance. When the chair calls upon your delegation, please turn on your microphone and say present or 출석했습니다 in Korean. Roll call will be conducted in an alphabetical manner and starting with Australia. Delegate of Australia.
Present.
Delegate of Brazil.
Present.
Delegate of Canada.
Present.
Delegate of Chile.
Present.
Delegate of Egypt.
Present.
Delegate of France.
Present.
Delegate of Germany.
Present.
Delegate of India, Eun-hwan-gu.
Present.
Delegate of India, Yurim-oh.
Present.
Delegate of Japan.
Present.
Delegate of Canada.
Present.
Delegate of Mexico.
Present.
Delegate of Netherlands.
Present.
Delegate of Norway.
Present.
Delegate of People's Republic of China.
Present.
Delegate of Republic of Korea.
Present.
Delegate of South Africa.
Present.
Delegate of Spain.
Present.
Delegate of Sweden.
Present.
Delegate of Switzerland.
Present.
Delegate of Thailand.
Present.
Delegate of United Kingdom. Delegate of United States of America.
Present.
의결 정도수가 맞춰져서 바로 공식적인 세팅을
Australia has been suffering from environmental issues for a long time. Every year, 1 degree Celsius of temperatures is increasing, and the rainfall has been decreasing 10 to 20% since the 1970s. Australia is preparing for Sydney floods due to rising sea levels. During the 2000 Sydney Olympic Games, Australia took the first step of the Green Olympics. To reduce traffic problems, Australia banned public parking and operated an official shuttle to solve the traffic problem. This delegate believes it's time for all countries to take their first steps towards the Green Olympics. In addition, with the Brisbane 2032 Summer Olympics, Australia will save the Earth from pollution by using existing structures rather than building a stadium exclusively for the Olympics. This delegate hopes to solve the transportation and construction issues of the Olympics through this debate together with fellow delegates. Thank you.
Next, the chair would like to call upon the
Sorry, delegates. 신민준 의장님께서 문제가 있는 것 같아서 제가 진행을 바로 하도록 하겠습니다. Thank you, delegate. You have 20 seconds remaining. How the delegate like to use the remaining time? 20초의 시간이 남았습니다. 어떻게 양도하실 건가요?
의장님께 넘기겠습니다.
네, 그러면 다음 delegate로 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. Next, we would like to hear from the delegate of Brazil. Delegate of Brazil, you may turn on your microphone and proceed with your opening speech. 브라질 델리게께서는 마이크를 켜시고 기조연설을 시작해 주시면 됩니다.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, being a host country of 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympics, Brazil has made efforts to minimize environmental problems of the Olympic Games by conducting greenwashing and green passport campaigns. However, the problem of carbon emissions was still caused by the construction of new golf course and traffic of audience, leading to damaging our country's environment. Through this experience in hosting the Olympics, Brazil argues that solving the environmental problems of the Olympics need using new eco-friendly materials, removing unnecessary props and procedures, and active support of public transportation by the host country. Brazil has shown continued efforts in the eco-friendly Olympics and promises to continue the effort and to work more actively with the international community to solve the environmental problems of Olympics. Once again, Brazil cares a lot about the environmental problems of the Olympic Games and sincerely supports solving the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You have 10 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible in this case. So next, will the chair like to call upon delegate of Canada to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Honorable Chairman, Secretary General, and representative of each country, it is a glorious moment and mediator the UN General Assembly as a delegate of Canada. Through this UN meeting, Canada hopes that it will be able to get support for the government's position and get some help with necessary measures to protect the environment. Canadian authorities have given sustainability to the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, but it is true that ecological and environmental problems remain. According to the official evaluation of Olympic carbon footprint, there are only very superficial problems with aviation. It does not affect forests, tree losses, and wetlands. Also, it does not include carbon dioxide from architecture in the process of preparing for the Olympics. Calculating all of this, it is concluded that it represents much more carbon and ecological footprints than the Vancouver Winter Olympic organizing committee publicly announced. In view of this, our authorities first reviewed the Environment Act, EEA, in December 2020 and June 2021, and said they will inform the Minister of Environmental and Climate Change of the review and development of reports to be presented by each person by December 10, 2021. We will actively collecting opinions on the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, CEPA, of 1999. Thank you to the Chairman and various national delegations listened so far.
Thank you, delegate. You have 0 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible in this case. 여러분 다시 한번 말씀드리지만 15초 이상이 남은 경우 양도를 할 수 있습니다. 하지만 지금과 같은 경우는 15초 이상이 남지 않았기 때문에 양도 없이 바로 다음 대사를 부르는 것입니다. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Chile. You have 90 seconds in total. You may begin whenever you're ready.
Dear delegate, respectful president and delegates of each country, Chile is a beautiful country with 4 seasons, with the Pacific Ocean in the west, the Andes Mountains in the east, the Atacama Desert in the north, and the glacier in the south. Unfortunately, Chile are experiencing serious environmental problems such as deforestation, soil erosion, and pollution. Since the environmental problems that Chile already have are serious, Chile feels the significance to tackle about various negative effects of Olympics on the environment. The reason for this problem seems to be that the national interest and peace that can be had during the short period of Olympics take precedence over the traces of the environment that will remain in the long run. If Chile holds the Olympic later, Chile will choose a way to minimize the impact on the environment and make Chile's first Olympics best case by referring to best practices that had less impact on the environment among the existing Olympics. Instead of building a new stadium and developing unnecessary transportations for the Olympics and etc., Chile wants to join with countries that will focus on utilizing the most of existing resources. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, delegate. You have exactly 15 seconds remaining. How would the delegate like to yield her remaining time?
I would give it to the chairman.
That is in order. So the delegate of Chile has yielded her remaining time back to the chair, which means she can turn off her microphone immediately. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Egypt. You have 90 seconds in total.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, personally, environmental issues have become the hottest issue in the world. Not only for the country, which is directly influenced by the change in the environment, but also all the countries which did not care about its matter back then are considering this as a serious problem to solve. In the case of environmental impacts of the Olympic Games, even though Egypt did not and will not host until 2032, which is the maximum planned year of the Olympic Games, Egypt kept putting their efforts into sustainable development for the domestic environmental issues and other international conferences such as UN Climate Change Conference, COP26, that is going to be held in Egypt 2022. That is to say, Egypt is offering and will offer continual interest for whatever the environmental problem is. Therefore, Egypt believes that working for sustainability in the Games will lead to cooperative and eco-friendly Olympic Games. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You have 25 seconds remaining. How would the delegate like to yield his remaining time?
I would like to yield to the chairs.
That is in order. The delegate of Egypt has yielded his remaining time back to the chair. Now the chair would like to call upon delegate of France. You have 90 seconds in total.
Honorable Chairperson and delegates, since ancient times, numerous environmental issues related to the Olympics have been controversial, and there has been a position that it is inevitable that the Olympics have a bad impact on the environment. However, the Olympic plan is underway because it is impossible to stop these Olympics, which is symbol of community and world unity and contributes to the development of the host country. France is preparing to have a positive environmental influence by actively pursuing a new bill to sustainable the environment for the upcoming Paris Olympics. As such, France expresses its position that it can solve this problem by coexisting with the environment. The France's solution is to propose an institutional mechanism that embodies the Environmental Olympics. The host country includes the environment in the basic theme of the Olympics and is obligated to form a sustainable Olympic organizing community so that it does not go in the wrong direction throughout the preparation process. Recently, the theme of the Olympics has changed a lot to environment, such as the Lillehammer Olympics and the Sydney Olympics. France reflects on the past elective Olympics and wants to contribute to the world where the environmental Olympics can become common as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate have 16 seconds remaining, which means the delegate cannot yield the remaining time. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Germany. You have 90 seconds in total.
Dear Chairman, distinguished delegates from all of the world, with the recent growing interest in the environmental issues have also been mentioned a lot at the Olympics, the world's largest comprehensive sports festival. I think this is because there are reasons such as the influence of the Olympics on the world and the condition and status of the venue. So, what efforts should we make to host the eco-friendly Olympics? Like other countries, Germany is thinking of the Olympics aiming for a green plan. Green plan refers to the establishment of an environmental protection plan strategy to plan, build, and organize the Olympic Games without harming the natural, culture, and social environment, leaving a positive environmental legacy even after the competition. Therefore, the country also aims to implement the Sustainable Environment Olympics to achieve both economic prosperity and environmental sustainability green plan. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate has 14 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible in this case. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of India to the podium.
존경하는 의장님님 그리고 각국 대표단 여러분, 본 인도는 이 자리에 서게 된 것을 매우 영광으로 생각합니다. 본 국가는 상승하는 이산화탄소 배출의 증가로 인한 해수면 상승으로 위험에 처할 위기에 있는 불안한 상황입니다. 무엇보다 본 국가는 현재 수질오염, 대기오염, 쓰레기 및 자연환경 오염으로 환경 문제가 심각하여 2019년 8월 일회용 플라스틱 금지령을 통한 환경 문제 해결에 나섰지만 본 국가가 더 나은 환경의 질에 도달하기에는 길이 멉니다. 따라서 환경오염과 관련된 지구온난화 부분에 대해서는 전 세계가 함께 환경오염 문제에 대해 심각성을 가지고 대처해야 한다는 입장입니다. 하지만 올림픽의 경우 주최 국가와 도시들의 수천 명의 운동선수들과 수백만 명의 관중들의 유입을 지원하기 위해 그들의 기반시설을 완전히 정비해야 하고 올림픽 게임을 위해 추가된 에너지, 건설, 항공 등 자원의 조합은 환경을 재앙으로 변화시키게 됩니다. 또한 올림픽이 개최됨에 따라 경기장 건설 이후로 지속되는 산림훼손과 CO2 증가 현상이 일어나는 추세입니다. 그리하여 문국은 올림픽 환경에 대처하기 위해 경기장과 올림픽에 사용되는 물품을 재사용하고 서식지 파기 및 산업 폐기물의 배출을 최대한 줄이도록 재생 가능 기술에 대한 투자가 계속되는 방안을 제시하는 바입니다. 투자를 통해 에너지 효율 및 저탄소 기술을 보완하게 된다면 탄소 배출량이 감소하여 더 나은 발전을 도모할 수 있을 것입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, delegate. You have no time remaining. And delegates, just for the clarification, the opening speech should have been prepared in English only. So if delegates had not prepared the opening speech or resolution, which is not really significant in this case, in English, please notify chair or staff member. 여러분, 어로피에도 나와 있지만 원래 오프닝 스피치는 이제 원칙적으로는 영어로 준비하게 돼 있습니다. 그래서 혹시나 만약에 한국어로 준비를 해오셨다면 혼선을 막기 위해서 스태프 멤버나 아니면 의장한테 개인 채팅으로 보내주시길 바랍니다. Next, Chair would like to call upon Delegate of Japan. You have 90 seconds in total.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates,
Recently, a new Olympic paradigm has entered the scene. In the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Japan introduced the concept of a carbon-minus Olympics, which Japan had planned for 2016 in order to practice the modern Olympics' emphasis on environmental responsibility. Japan's efforts for the Green Olympics was seen in things such as bags made of cardboard, mattresses made of recycled materials, and temporary garbage cans made of paper. Following these efforts, Japan promised to work with other countries around the world to make Green Olympics a reality from now on. IOC needs an institute to raise funds for other countries that need economic support to construct eco-friendly facilities so that developing countries as well as developed countries can benefit together as the world becomes more and more green. When developing countries need economic support to host the Olympics, developed countries can invest in the institute to help construct eco-friendly facilities, and they can receive returns in some proportion to how much they invested. On November 11, 2021, China and the United States announced that they would work to reduce methane gas at the Conference of the Parties 26. This proves that we need international cooperation regardless of borders. In this spirit, Japan will work enthusiastically so that all countries can pursue sustainable development, and it looks forward to working with other countries to accomplish this goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You have no time remaining, so yielding is not possible. Next, the chair would like to call upon Delegate of Kenya. You have 90 seconds in total.
Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay. Honorable Chairman and delegates of each country, it is a glorious moment that meet you through the UN General Assembly as a delegate of Kenya. Through this UN meeting, Kenya hopes that it will be able to get support for essential measures to protect the environment. In our current status, there are diverse environmental problems that are raised due to the effect of Olympics. Especially for Kenya, because of continuous drought and environmental issues, it is urgent to solve this problem. The first issue is about the fossil fuel using airplanes. Since people visit the host country, this increases the number of people flying. Because airplanes have a fatal impact on increasing CO2 emission, there is a need to improve the way they are flying. The leaders of each country should support eco-friendly alternatives of transportation by investing in electric airplane technology. The second issue is the waste problem of disposable products. Waste generated by people and disposable items used for athletes are making the problem even more worse. The waste will flow into the sea in the process of being disposed. It is even more serious to Kenya due to the geographical characteristic nearby the sea. In fact, since 2017, Kenya has passed a policy to pay fine to the companies that import, produce, and sell plastic bags. Like this, countries should solve the problem by increasing regulations and using recyclable products in Olympics. For all of the leaders on today's meeting, this is the time for all of the countries to solve these severe environmental issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You have no time remaining for yield. The chair stands corrected, and it seems like chair skipped Delegate of Italy due to some technical difficulties. So the chair would like to call upon the Delegate of Italy to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total.
Honorable chairpersons and delegation, I am the ambassador of Italy. Nowadays, environmental problems are rising as issues progressively. Among them, I would make mentions of environmental problems related to Olympics. Olympics is a sports competition which is held every 4 years. It is very popular and many nations want to host it in their nations. However, behind these popularities, Olympics have environmental problems as well as economic problems. First, host nations push ahead in Olympics despite of their poor conditions. For example, some nations cut mountains for their adequate ones to make ski low. On some occasions, stadiums are abandoned because they cannot be recycled. In 1956, Italy had Olympic in Cortina d'Ampezzo, but the environmental problem was not a great issue at the time. However, in 1960, when there was Olympic in Rome, trash problem emerged and it was unable to reuse the stadiums. It is determined that Italy will be the host of Winter Olympic in 2026 in Milano and Cortina d'Ampezzo. I expect that environmental problems can also rise at this upcoming Olympic. Italy is ready to accept the treaties and suggestions for global environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has 10 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible. Next, the chair would like to call upon Delegate of Mexico to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total.
Distinguished Chair and delegates, there have been considerable concerns about the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, a country already plagued with desertification problems. Last year, the world has clearly understood that without the consideration of environmental condition required and impacts it has, it's hard to pursue the Olympics values and aims properly. Mexico has been paying attention on air pollution, lack of clean water, and deforestation as top 3 environmental issues, understanding the urgency to take action for the environment. Thus, Mexico has been implementing diverse policies and programs to pursue eco-friendly cities and sustainable tourism, especially with the substantial efforts including having developed vertical gardens. Mexico is becoming a world leader in sustainable building. Based on these interests, Mexico is ready to passionately participate in coming up with the solutions for the tackling impacts of the Olympic Games. It is the moment that need to be recognized to have a typical committee or organization that can supervise the eco-friendly and sustainable hosting of Olympic Games in the hosting city. The nation that wishes to host an Olympic game has to meet the environmental preserving standard the committee provides, and the committee would also have to cooperate with the hosting city to hold carbon offset projects, to invest in more sustainable water supplies, to organize transportation for spectators, and source sustainable materials for the buildings and arenas. Once again, Mexico seeks to achieve farther-reaching agreements and recommendations for Olympic Games that values not only the integration of nations, but the preservation of environments as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has no time remaining, so the chair would like to call upon the next delegate, the delegate of Netherlands, to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, the delegate is glad that the case has emerged as a case to be discussed internationally. Since the start of the Olympic Games, there have been a massive destruction of the environment, majorly due to the construction of Olympic Stadium. Massive amounts of trees were cut out and native species lost their habitat. Building facilities for transportation, good health, and tourism have led to environmental pollution. As a member of the international community and host country of the 1928 Olympics, the Netherlands feel a great responsibility in this matter. We Netherlands have constantly pursued sustainable development and are willing to cooperate with every state who is willing to reduce the impact of the Olympics on the environment. The Netherlands is also positively reviewing cooperation with environmental organizations. The delegate hopes that it will be a place to develop alternatives to the environment through constructive discussions. Thank you. I'll yield my time.
Thank you, Delegate. Since you have 17 seconds remaining, how would the delegate like to yield his remaining time?
I'll yield my time to the chair.
That is in order. Delegate of Netherlands has yielded her remaining time back to the chair. So next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Norway to the podium.
영어로 기조 연설을 준비하지 못해서 한국어로 하도록 하겠습니다. 존경하는 의장단님, 그리고 대사단 여러분, 본 노르웨이는 이 자리에 서게 된 것을 매우 영광으로 생각합니다. 최근 경기장을 짓기 위한 산리훼손, 과도하게 낭비되는 물 문제 등으로 올림픽 개최에 있어 큰 환경 파괴가 일어나고 있습니다. 본국은 1994년 릴레-함베르 동계올림픽을 주최할 당시 환경올림픽이라는 개념을 만들어내어 정부와 올림픽 조직, 지자체와 환경단체들이 협력해 모든 분야에서 환경 파괴를 최소화하기 위해 일회용품이 아닌 옥수수 전분류 등을 제작한 식기 사용, 자연 성분의 샴푸와 오일 제공, 썩는 비닐의 제공 등으로 노력을 하였습니다. 그 결과 일회용품 사용이 줄어들어 쓰레기를 줄일 수 있었으며 자연 성분의 제품 등을 사용해 환경오염의 피해를 줄일 수 있었습니다. 그러므로 올림픽으로 인한 환경 문제를 대처하기 위해서는 본국이 실행했던 방식과 올림픽에 사용되는 물품의 재활용 소재 사용 등의 방법과 상황의 심각성을 알고 국가끼리의 협력으로 환경 문제를 해결하길 희망하는 바입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Delegate. You have 8 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible. Next, the chair would like to call upon People's Republic of China. You have 90 seconds to speak.
저도 영어로 준비하지 못해서 한국어로 진행하는 점 양해 부탁드립니다. 존경하는 의장단님 그리고 대사단 여러분,
2008년 하계 베이징 올림픽에 이어 2022 동계올림픽까지 개최할 수 있어 매우 영광스럽고 감사합니다. 2022 동계올림픽의 목표는 친환경, 모두의 즐거운 청년결백 개방입니다. 우리 중국은 그중 친환경에 중점을 두고 있습니다. 이번 올림픽에서 본국은 범지역 친환경 에너지 거래 기제를 도입하여 올림픽 역사상 최초로 100% 친환경 에너지만을 사용하는 올림픽을 완성시켰습니다. 또한 본국은 12개의 경기장 중 8개의 경기장을 2008 올림픽 때 사용한 경기장을 재사용할 예정입니다. 탄소 배출 제로에 가까운 재빙제를 이용하여 수영장을 얼려 컬링장으로 만들고 배구장을 개조하여 빙상장으로 만들 계획입니다. 폐제철소를 개조하여 올림픽 조직위 사무실을 만들었습니다. 우리 올림픽 조직위원회는 기존 시설물을 다시 사용하면서 경기장 건설을 최소화해 비용 절감은 물론 환경 보호에도 힘을 많이 쓰고 있다라고 친환경적인 올림픽 유치 의지를 밝혔습니다. 환경 문제는 올림픽 기간에만 국한된 문제가 아닌 전 세계가 손잡고 해결해야 할 문제로서 본국이 앞장서서 해결해 나갈 것이고 그 의지를 이번 2022 베이징 동계올림픽을 통해 보여줄 것입니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has no time remaining, so the Chair would like to call upon the next delegate, the Republic of Korea. You have 90 seconds to speak.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, the delegation of the Republic of Korea recognizes the importance of all aspects of reducing the negative environmental impacts of the Olympic Games. However, the Republic of Korea would especially like to focus on the sustainability of infrastructure and natural sites such as venues in order to reach such goals. All 6 venues which were built for the Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games, which the Republic of Korea hosted in 2018, were certified by GC for continuable use after the Games. These Games were also the first Olympics to be certified in ISO 20121 for sustainability. However, the government of the Republic of Korea has regrettably damaged approximately 78 hectares of forest genetic resource reserve in the process of preparing for the Games. The amount of damage that the Olympics held in more secretive nations may have caused is at an unfathomable level. The Republic of Korea proposes that the UN formulate a committee of 15 environmental experts to send to Olympic host nations. This committee shall do tasks such as evaluate potential venues, send reports to the UNEP with joint venture with the host nation government, and oversee the restoration of damaged natural sites after the Games. The delegate of the Republic of Korea looks forward to hearing and debating other delegations' opinions on this and other issues. I yield my rest of the time to the chair.
That is in order. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Republic of South Africa to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total.
Okay, am I clear?
Yes.
Okay, the environmental drawbacks caused by the construction of new infrastructure to host the Olympic Games potentially damages the local ecosystems permanently. The delegation of the Republic of South Africa wants to focus on several aspects of environmental impacts of the Olympics, which are pollution, lack of energy, and deforestation, which are closely related to the environmental concerns of South Africa. According to the recent report by the UNEP, the IOC announced that it will fund $355,000 for the Olympic Forest, which will form part of the Green Great Wall project. This delegate is interested in IOC's effort on the Green Great Wall, as it is already benefiting millions of residents living in the African continent, including this delegation's nation. As the main member of the African Union leading the project of the Green Great Wall, South Africa welcomes more active international participation of Olympic hosting nations in tackling the problem of desertification in South Africa. The delegation of Republic of South Africa believes that there should be actions made to resolve the side effects of the Olympic Games by, including but not limited to, managing local environment monitoring systems, establishing stricter standards on green solutions, and increasing international support for IOC's effort in executing green policies. This delegate expresses a fruitful discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate has 17 seconds remaining. How would the delegate like to yield her remaining time?
I'll yield my time to the chair.
That is in order. Next, the chair would like to call upon delegate of Spain to the podium. You have 90 seconds in total.
Fellow delegates, respected chairs, as many countries has been assigned to this conference, some countries have been the host of the Olympic Games. Spain, after 9 years, is hosting the Winter Olympics in Barcelona. Reference to sustainability reports by the IOC, Madrid, Spain has increased the energy efficiency of buildings in which energy-saving works are conducted and energy management systems are obtained. That way, Spain is right on track to be in charge of the Olympics with high energy efficiency. However, with these developed industries, according to Catalan News, the Minister of Presidency, Laura Villagra, has said that the Catalan government will very seriously consider abandoning hopes to host the 2030 Winter Olympics because of destroying the environment. With this stance of Spain, it mainly focuses on the environment. The cost of constructing a stadium and also cutting off the mountains will cost a huge amount of damage to the environment. To reduce this impact, this delegate focuses on using renewable materials for an element of the Olympic Stadium, also not harming the nature in each country. This will greatly reduce the environmental impact and guarantee the aftermath of the Olympics. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You have 14 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible. Next, the chair would like to call upon Delegate of Sweden to the podium. You have 90 seconds to speak.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, as one of the most watched and the most expensive events on Earth, the Olympic Games have become a great source of unity and participation all around the globe, but also a source of environmental harm at the same time. With thousands of athletes flying in and multiple game venues being built, the estimated carbon footprint for a single Olympic game is equal to the annual emissions from about 500,000 cars. Sweden, recognizing the urgency of the issue of maintaining environmental sustainability, has been endeavoring to make progress in this field. Round the Globe Run, a project initiated by the Swedish Olympic Committee, is purposed to educate the children of Sweden about the goals of sustainable development as well as the Olympic values. Moreover, Sweden has been implementing inclusive environmental measures such as the investment program aiming at improved natural environment, pollutant collection, and pollutant treatment. The delegate of Sweden believes that measures that involve multiple stakeholders are needed. Say, the International Olympics Committee, hosting cities, and the citizens shall be incorporated in our solutions. This delegate would like to focus on ensuring post-game monitoring and cooperation with the National Olympic Committee. As measures to strengthen the aspect of environmental sustainability and infrastructure, post-Olympic management, awareness, and city selection process shall be discussed. This delegate wishes for a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You have 10 seconds remaining, which means yielding is not possible. Next, the chair would like to call upon Delegate of Switzerland to the podium. You have 90 seconds to speak.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is the delegate of Switzerland speaking. Behind the glorious scene of Olympic Games, there has always existed heartbreaking scenes of environmental destruction. During the 2016 Rio Olympics, approximately 3.6 billion tons of CO2, an amount similar to 300 tons of ideal carbon emission per year from coal-fired power plants in Korea, were emitted. In Pyeongchang 2018, the logging process of Mountain Gyeongsang terribly threatened the survival of animals and plants. To counter the ceaselessly pending crisis, this delegate processed the policies done in Sydney and London should be made into Olympic rules. The city of Sydney has preserved the surrounding wetlands by building the Olympic Stadium. Spectators were only allowed to use public transport to get to the stadium. London hosted the 2012 Olympic Games and planted 300,000 plants, including 2,000 trees throughout the city. This delegate look forward to meaningful discussion at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has 24 seconds remaining. How would the delegate like to yield her remaining time?
To the chair.
That is in order. Now, the chair would like to call upon Delegate of Thailand to the podium. You have 90 seconds to speak.
Is the delegate audible? Thank you. Honorable chairs and esteemed delegates, rainforest trees in Southern countries were used to build paper beds and main stadiums created by the Tokyo Olympics under the slogan of eco-friendly Olympics, which caused multiple contamination. October 8, 2021, the Human Rights Council first stated in Resolution 48/13 that environmental pollution and the resulting climate change in the international society are directly linked to human rights violations. Therefore, in accordance with Article 3 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Thai government has implemented policies to develop renewable energy and low carbon development technologies. These policies will be a great example to implement the spurts of climate action currently being promoted by the IOC to jointly recognize the goals agreed upon in the Paris Climate Change Agreement. However, the greenwash problem has been overlooked. This referred to the act of wrapping as if something was or eco-friendly, although it is actually harmful. Even if various eco-friendly materials such as paper bags are used for the Olympics, rainforests in countries such as Thailand may be destroyed if appropriate standards are not established. Under HCR Resolution 48/14 to draw global interest and contribution, Thailand expects all member states to actively participate in calls to effectively crack down on greenwash. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has no time remaining. So the chair would like to call upon next delegate, the delegate of the United Kingdom, to the podium. You have 90 seconds to speak.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, the delegate of the United Kingdom is deeply concerned with the environmental impacts of the Olympic Games. Illegal dumping, habitat destruction, and industrial waste spillage are just a few examples of the status quo. Although the Olympics are an event to bring the entire world together, these issues rather magnify the conflicts between countries, especially on the issue of environment. During the 2012 London Olympics, the United Kingdom had set up the Independent Commission for Sustainable London 2012. It monitored and minimized the environmental effects of the Games, setting up high standards for future Olympic host cities to follow. Furthermore, the United Kingdom launched a major climate program collaborating with the UNEP, increasing climate resilience and environmental management in Sudan. These aspects actively demonstrate the passion and commitment that the United Kingdom holds on this agenda. This delegate expects member states of this committee to discuss matters on building a solid framework for managing and minimizing environmental impacts, both during and even after the Olympic Games. Any possible solutions must prioritize citizens of the host cities as well as neighboring states. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate has 18 seconds remaining. How would the delegate like to yield her remaining time?
Back to the chair.
In order. Now the chair would like to last call upon delegate of United States of America. You have 90 seconds in total. Begin whenever you're ready.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, the delegate of the United States is honored to be attending such a prestigious conference. The delegate of the United States believes that the environmental impact of Olympic Games remains a vital concern for not only the host country, but to our world as a whole. There are now predominant reasons and ways to promote a more eco-friendly Olympic Games, but it requires a change in demeanor. The 2020 Summer Olympics marked on efforts to promote a positive environmental footprint on several infrastructures. Although it faced controversies saying that it was no more than a formality, such attempts are urged to find improvement in the coming years. While the harmony between providing a quality standards for the Olympians and sustaining the environment at once might find adversities, the United States will support the construction of agendas that can minimize the environmental repercussion through industrial cooperation on innovative ideas under the consensus that the prestige of the Olympic Games remain high. The delegate hopes to find a reasonable and constructive solution to the topic at hand. The delegate yields the floor back to the chair.
That in order. Now the floor is once more open since time for the opening speech has elapsed. Are there any motions on the floor? 지금 이 경우에는 기조연설이 모두 끝났기 때문에 어떠한 모션이든 제안받도록 하겠습니다. 모션을 제안하고 싶으신 대사분들은 리액션에 들어가서 raise hand 버튼을 눌러주시면 되겠습니다. Are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of Sweden, you have been recognized.
Motion to move into moderated caucus for a total duration of 15 minutes. Individuals speaking time is 60 seconds to debate upon the issue of specific environmental impacts of the Olympic Games and the status quo.
That has been recognized. There has been a motion to move to a moderated caucus for 15 minutes with individual speaking time 60 seconds to discuss specific matters regarding the environmental harm of Olympic Games. With that being said, the committee will conduct a voting procedure on the motion to move to the moderated caucus. 지금 같은 경우는 이제 스웨덴 대사님이 이제 moderated caucus로 가고자 하는 제안을 하셨기 때문에 이 제안에 대한 투표를 하도록 하겠습니다. 2분의 1 이상이 찬성할 경우 moderated caucus로 진행을 하게 되고 2분의 1 이상이 반대하는 경우 이 모션은 부결되게 됩니다. 이 모션에 찬성하시고 싶은 분들은 모두 손을 들어주세요. All those who are wishing to vote for this moderated caucus, please raise your hand. Delegates, please do not lower your hand because chair is counting the number. All those who are wishing to vote against this motion, please raise your flag or tie. 반대하시고 싶은 분들은 손을 들어주세요. With 16 delegates votes for and 2 delegates against, the committee will enter the moderated caucus until 2:10 p.m., which is 15 minutes. Each delegate has 60 seconds to speak, and now the committee will enter the moderated caucus. Are there any delegates who are wishing to take the floor? Please raise your hand. 지금 같은 경우는 moderated caucus이기 때문에 순서가 정해져서 개인당 60초씩 발언할 수 있습니다. 발언하시고 싶은 분들은 모두 손을 들어주세요. Delegate of Republic of Korea, you have been recognized. You have 60 seconds to speak.
Although some delegates may argue, and some countries may argue, that the biggest environmental harm comes from the games itself, the Republic of Korea would like to have a different view on the issue. This delegate believes that one of the biggest specific environmental harms that comes from the Olympic Games occurs not only at the Games, but after the Games. Like this delegate has said in her opening speech, constructing venues and placing Olympic sites is one of the key issues that needs to be addressed in Olympic Games, and is one of the key factors that decides whether the Olympic Games, that specific Olympic game, will do harm or not. Take the case of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympic Games. For example, to build for the alpine skiing course alone, the government of the Republic of Korea has regrettably damaged about 78 hectares of reserve forest. To prevent this and not only that, but Not only that, but the construction of venues takes years, contrasting to the Olympic Games, which takes only a few days or more. And that's the end of the speech.
Thank you, Delegate. And just for the clarification, there is no yielding, even though there is more than 15 seconds remaining in the moderated caucus. 그 오픈 스피치와는 다르게 moderated caucus에서는 15초 이상이 남아도 양도가 불가능한 점 이해해 주시길 바랍니다. 또한 moderated caucus 경우에는 한 번 말을 하신 대사가 또 말을 할 수도 있고, 또한 moderated caucus 15분이 moderated caucus가 끝나면 또 한 번이 연속해서 moderated caucus를 진행할 수도 있습니다. With that being clear, are there any delegates wishing to take the floor? Delegate of Sweden, you have been recognized.
This delegate has recognized that many of the delegates have spoken about the issue of environmental impacts of building venues or the usage of materials that are being disposed after the games. This delegate would also like to point out that a lot of greenwashing exists, as the delegate of Thailand have pointed out. According to NPR, making the Olympic medals from precious metals called from recycled electronics, or building the Olympic torch out of aluminum rescued from the temporary housing shell used following the Fukushima disaster, and letting the athletes sleep on cardboard beds felt a little like greenwashing. A lot of public feels like some kind of measures taken by the countries could be classified into greenwashing. So this delegate would like to ask other nations to talk about the greenwashing issue also in this debate session.
Next delegate. A delegate who already spoke, please lower your hand. The chair would like to call upon delegate of United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair. As the delegate of Republic of Korea and delegate of Sweden have pointed out, environmental impacts after and during the Olympic process is very important. And this delegate would like to also point out the process of actually planning and constructing the Olympic session. before the Olympics, thousands of athletes actually fly to the host city, and the most carbon dioxide are emitted from the air transportation. Therefore, lowering the aspect of carbon dioxide emissions would be a very important factor, and also building new stadiums would also impact the environment because they're not used effectively even after the Olympics. So therefore, the various measures on air transportation and construction should also be mentioned in this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegates, can every delegate lower your hand, please, because Chair has not recognized anybody? Okay, with that being clear, are there any delegates wishing to take the floor? Delegate of Silent, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Delegate of Thailand really appreciates Delegate of Sweden to point out the problem of greenwashing. The Olympic pressure has really serious environmental destruction. So among them, resources wasted on materials used in the Olympics cause serious environmental pollution. This is clear, and the Delegate of Thailand, I guess every single delegate in this committee will agree on this. So it is true that resources wasted on materials used in the Olympics cause serious environmental problems. Although the IOC already recommends using eco-friendly materials, it is faced with the limit of the greenwashing problem. So at the Tokyo Olympics, eco-friendly materials called paper bags were used, but all of these papers were made of rainforests in Southeast Asia. So therefore, Delegate of Thailand strongly proposes to other countries to come up with strong regulations on greenwashing. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Now the Chair would like to entertain next delegate. Are there any delegates wishing to take the floor? Delegates who have already spoken yet can also raise hand right now. Delegate of Switzerland, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. This delegate insists it is effective to make various measures such as implementing a policy to restrict the use of disposable products in restaurants near the Olympic venues and conducting environmental campaign as Olympic regulation. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, has made it mandatory for all cities host the Olympic Games to submit an environmental protection plan from 2000 and has set this as an important evaluation criterion for the selection of the venue. Therefore, this delegate underscores that the sport of Olympics should not be a case of polluting the environment by making proper strict rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair would like to entertain next delegate to speak. Delegate of Republic of South Africa, you have been recognized.
This delegate thanks the delegate of Republic of Korea for bringing up the point of the problem of environmental problems because of construction. To be more specific, this delegate wants to focus on deforestation and desertification caused by the construction of these Olympic venues. Because of the construction, through the process, there are many trees that are being cut down, and that leads to damage of shelter for important animal species, as well as we can see in the 2018 Pyeongchang Olympics, because of making their alpine ski lines, they had damaged a lot of portion of Bear Mountains that are actually a shelter for important animal species in Korea, as well as we think that the desertification of South Africa leads to water shortages and several human rights problems for residents living in the African regions. This delegate is proud to bring out this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Next delegate to speak, please raise your hand. Delegate of Kenya, you have been recognized.
Thank you. So this delegate also want to argue the problem of Olympic about the environment, as previous delegates mentioned as well. So because of huge amount of CO2 emission that airplane make, this actually worsen the pollution existing now in our current status quo. And also disposable items like lunchbox for athletes directly harm our environment, related with the disposable waste problem, which this delegate believes that it is needed to change the way about this lunchbox and diverse like disposable items used in Olympic.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair would like to entertain next delegate to speak. Delegate of Sweden, you have been recognized.
This delegate would also like to point out the problem of no check and balance existing in the status quo. There is a worrying problem dominant in the status quo in which the International Olympic Committee is able to control the information that is given to that is open to the public. Thus, the information that is open to the countries and the statistics about the environmental problems could be in a way altered inside the International Olympic Committee. So this delegate would like to point out that there is a need for a check and balance system in this problematic situation.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair would like to entertain next delegate to speak. Delegate of South Korea, the Delegate of Republic of Korea, you have been recognized.
This delegate would first like to thank the delegate of Sweden for pointing out the no check and balance issue. Like this delegate has said in her opening speech, one possible solution is to form, or the UN to form a committee and to send that committee to host countries to check the environmental regulations of the Olympic Games. Another point that this delegate would like to address is the emission problem that the delegates of Kenya and the UK have most blatantly pointed out. This delegate would like to propose a possible solution. South Korea has hosted the Olympic Games in 2018, and in that case, the Republic of Korea has reduced 6,654 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions by building new express trains in the province where the Olympics were held. And that would be the end of my speech.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair would like to entertain next speaker. Delegate of UK, you have been recognized.
The delegate of UK completely agrees with the delegate of Sweden and Republic of Korea when it comes to the absence of the check and balance system during the process of planning and actually constructing the Olympic Games. Even with the check and balances during the construction of the Games, this delegate believes that there should be a framework or a framework that advocates eco-friendly policies or consider the environmental aspects when selecting the future Olympic host cities from the International Olympic Committee to actually count on the host cities that will host an eco-friendly Olympic game. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. The Chair would like to entertain next speaker to speak. Delegate of Netherlands, you have been recognized.
Thank you. Since 2000, all cities trying to attract the Olympics have been obliged to submit an environmental protection plan. And here, the delegate would like to talk about the direction of strengthening the environmental protection standards stipulated by IOC. As mentioned in South Korea, although the plan was approved by the IOC, it happened that the forest was destroyed. And the delegate thinks that the preventive measures against this are the strengthening of standards and the penalty for not taking the plan. This delegate believes, as mentioned above, we propose to set a criteria based on reusability of the event venue, pollution prevention, and the possibility of greenwash. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Thailand, can you lower your hand? That being clear, are there any delegates wishing to take the floor? Please raise your hand. Okay, Delegate of Thailand, you have been recognized.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, Delegate of Thailand also agrees on check and balance system, which is mentioned by Sweden, Republic of Korea, and UK. But Delegate of Thailand suggests this delegation to add on a device that can verify that eco-friendly policies are truly eco-friendly. So, and also thanks to the Delegate of Netherlands mentioned about greenwashing problems, in accordance with the device that can verify greenwashing problem and the eco-friendly processes are truly eco-friendly. So Delegate of Thailand suggests the other delegates to add on a policy that this verification system. And thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Now time for 15 minutes of moderated caucus is now left since this is 2:10 p.m. 지금 처음에 스웨덴 대사님께서 제안하신 15분간의 moderated caucus가 끝나게 됐습니다. With that being said, are there any motions on the floor? 이제 끝났으니까 다른 모션을 받도록 하겠습니다. Delegate of Sweden.
Motion to move into another moderated caucus for the total duration 15 minutes, individual speaking time 60 seconds to debate upon the issue of the method of selecting environmentally sustainable hosting cities.
That is in order. There has been a motion to move to the moderated caucus for 15 minutes, individual speaking time 60 seconds. Similarly to the previous process, the chair would like to conduct a voting procedure on the motion to move to the 15 minutes of moderated caucus. 아까와 비슷하게 15분간의 moderated caucus를 하고자 하는 제안이 있기 때문에 이 제안에 대한 투표를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. This requires simple majority or 50% of the committee to approve. With that being said, all those who are wishing to vote for this moderated caucus, please raise your hand. All those against, please raise your hand. Delegates, please do not lower your hand because chair is counting the number. With 9 delegates for, 10 delegates against, the motion to move to the moderated caucus for 15 minutes is now rejected. With that being said, delegates, please lower your hand, and the chair would like to entertain another motion at this point. Are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of Chile, you have been the chair stands corrected. Delegate of ROK, you have been recognized.
Motion to move into an unmoderated caucus of 20 minutes.
That is in order. There has been a motion to move to the unmoderated caucus for 20 minutes. 지금 같은 경우는 한국 대사분이 20분간의 unmoderated caucus를 제안하셨습니다. moderated caucus와 비슷하게 역시 투표를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. All those delegates who are wishing to vote for this unmoderated caucus, please raise your hand. All those who are wishing to vote against this motion, please raise your hand. Okay, with 16 votes for and 4 against, the motion to move to the unmoderated caucus for 20 minutes passes. The committee will have unmoderated caucus until 2:33 p.m., which means delegates have exactly 20 minutes to freely discuss the matter. Again, as what Chair Ho-chan said, the unmoderated caucus will proceed in the Metaverse platform, which the chair would like to copy and paste the link immediately. Just a second, please.
제가 공지했습니다. 지금 바로 메타버스 플랫폼으로 들어가 주시면 될 것 같고요. 그리고 여기에서는 음소거 하시고 카메라는 켜주신 상태로 가시면 될 것 같습니다. 그리고 메타버스 플랫폼에 들어가면 프로필을 설정할 수 있게 되어 있는데 그때 이름을 여기에 증상의 이름과 동일하게 설정을 해주시고 그 안에서 돌아다니시면서 자신이 얘기를 해보고 싶었던 델리과 함께 이야기를 나눠보시면 될 것 같습니다. 그리고 33분까지로 지금 설정이 되어 있기 때문에 33분까지 설정이 되어 있었는데 지금 메타버스로 이동할 시간이 필요하기 때문에 15분부터 35분까지 언모더레이티드 커커스를 진행하는 것으로 하겠습니다. 지금 이동하셔서 언모더레이티드 커커스 진행하면 될 것 같아요. 혹시 문제가 있으신 분들은 여기 채팅을 활용해서 저한테 말씀을 해주시면 될 것 같습니다.
메타버스를 이용하시는 분께 알려드립니다. 사용법을 모르신 경우 운영진에게 물어보시고 하단부에 있는 상담실과 우측에 있는 상담실에 들어가서 대화를 나눌 수 있습니다. 하단부에 있는 상담실과 우측 끝에 있는 상담실에 들어가셔서 카메라와 마이크를 켜고 사용하실 수 있습니다.
쌤, 안녕하세요. 들리시나요?
들립니다. 자, 저는 일단은 운영진이기 때문에 여러분들 가급적이면 타 학교에서 온 학생들을 좀 도와주시기 부탁드리겠습니다.
지금 그 컴퓨터 소리가 좀 전체적으로 들려서 한번 확인해 주실 수 있을까요?
어디 괜찮은가요? 지금 제가 컴퓨터 소리를 껐습니다.
네, 소리가 괜찮아졌습니다.
알려드립니다. 입구 쪽이 아닌 무대의 중앙 또는 오른쪽에서 대화를 나누시는 게 훨씬 편리하실 것 같습니다. 무대의 중앙 좌석이 있는 곳에서 대화를 나누시는 게 훨씬 더 편리하실 것 같습니다. 입구 쪽은 아무래도 붐비는 게 있으니까요. 여러분들 좀 넓게 활용하셨으면 좋겠습니다. 지금 메타버스에 오신 분들에게 알려드립니다. 지금 하단 부분에 상담실 안에서 대사들과 프레스가 대화를 나누고 있습니다. 무대 중앙과 오른쪽 그리고 하단 부분으로 이동하시면 대사와 운영진 그리고 프레스 담당들도 만나실 수 있습니다. 이용 방법을 모르실 때는 사무국이라고 붙어 있는 운영진을 통해서 사용 방식을 설명 듣기를 부탁드리겠습니다. 지금 입국 쪽으로 입장하신 분들은 무대 중앙이나 하단 부분에 있는 사무국이라는 글자가 붙어 있는 운영지를 통해서 이용 방법을 설명받길 부탁드리겠습니다. 지금은 프레스와 대사들과 대화를 나눌 수 있는 시간입니다.
대사님들 약간의 하울링이 있더라도 양해 부탁드립니다. 지금 40분부터 3시까지 쉬는 시간이 예정되어 있고 그 사이에 원래는 인터뷰가 진행이 될 계획이었는데 일단은 쉬는 시간 A에는 1A에는 인터뷰가 배정이 되어 있지 않아서 1B에 배정하신 분들께 링크를 보내드릴게요. 그러면 링크를 보내드리는 게 아니라 1A에 인터뷰가 잡히신 분들을 안내해 드리도록 하겠습니다. 1B에. 네. 지금 케냐 분과 멕시코 델리게 분께서 인터뷰가 1B에 잡혀 있어요. 2시 50분이고요. 그때 이제 인터뷰를 진행하도록 하겠습니다. 제가 소회의실을 파서 안내해 드리도록 할 테니까 일단은 50분에 오시면 될 것 같아요. 나머지 분들은 쉬는 시간 3시까지 가지시면 됩니다.